Startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America. We do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and then I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard, and Lloyd is here. He's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Welcome to Startup on the Blocks. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We got another Thursday going here. We got a guest, great guest for you all tonight, Mr. Eric Parker. How are you doing?
Doing well, yourself?
Fantastic, fantastic. Glad to have you on this. We've been trying to get you on for a while, so I'm glad we finally got you here so folks can learn a lot more about the ecosystem and lot more about entrepreneurship training. Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. So first, I'm gonna share my screen and give a little shout out to some of our partners and sponsors. Let's see here, and I wonder, do we have Make Startups on here? Yes, we do. Fantastic. All righty. So yeah, so we are able to support entrepreneurs the way we do because of our partners and sponsors. So so I'm not sure how many of these organizations you're familiar with, Eric.
At least 4.
Okay, good, and that's great. So by partnering, I think we can kind of reach more people, and like partnering with Make Startups, your organization, we got access to more training stuff, and which we'll talk a little bit more about. But just so you know, Eric, like the Black Innovation Alliance, they probably got close to 200 members and organizations like the Cocoa Institute that support Black founders. And here in the state, we have this Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, and the event we have tomorrow and Saturday. It's a combination of their tour, which we're the hub for over here in Northwest Florida, and so we doing a joint event tomorrow. And Goody Nation is behind my little thing here, so I'm pretty sure because they're there in Georgia, and you're in Georgia as well. So I'm pretty sure you heard about them.
Yeah, they're in the small city of Atlanta. So
yeah, and I went through their program for doing stuff related to the workforce, and so that helped Cocoa Institute out quite a bit going through that. This startup sites, I think I told you about it, this deal here, but I don't know if you had a chance to hear Greg Shepard talk about his startup journey and what he has to offer. But simply, he sort of went through 12 exits, and so everything he learned, he put it in the training program. So go from like vision to exit. So that's kind of like a neat resource. These are our money folks that come up with the money to help us out.
love all of them.
Yeah. So that's and so also some partners in here as well. So we should give a big shout out to them. Okay, if you take just maybe a minute or two just to kind of tell a little bit about yourself and and then we'll come back and I'll share some more stuff about what we do with our startup founders best practices.
Sure. So really high level, I'm an architect who I guess went away from the world of architecture into helping people build startups and build startup communities back in around 2011. And so I started doing that in my hometown of Augusta, Georgia. And over the last 12, 13 years, we've helped over 2,000 companies launch here in this community, and about just a handful, right? And much like you in the work, it's trying to get those money people to support it and believe in what you're doing. And at the time, I was having it was a real challenge to get everybody bought into what entrepreneurship could do from an economic development perspective for our city and for other cities around the country. So I launched Make Startups actually in 2018, but really came into its own during the pandemic period, where we started working to develop a credentialing model for startups and work with organizations from around the country to use that to open up capital resources for more people.
Yeah, and I think that credentialing thing, I haven't really seen much of that around, so that's definitely pretty unique. Yes.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because honestly, when you talk about credentialing, it just sounds like really bureaucratic and like, why do I need to get a credential to do a thing? And I try to explain to people that the work that we do in entrepreneur support is we help build trust between founders and funders, right? And so all a credential is it's a technology that streamlines our ability to do that. And so that gives us the sort of like validation step, so that when we refer a founder to a funder, they say, oh, okay, this means business.
Yes, and that is powerful because like all the founders we work with, I probably couldn't tell you what skills they really have and what level of entrepreneurship skills they really. I could have some idea, but to have an actual credential to say this person does know this or know that, I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, well, it's really just trying to think of how do you help entrepreneurs support scale, because at the end of the day, I mean, and I watched the video at the start of this and the difference that you were able to make in helping a founder clarify, what their vision was about the company and streamline that. That's a lot of really deep effort that it takes to get to know somebody. And so, we've just looked at how do you do that faster and at a broader scale so that you can help more people with less resources and still unlock capital for everybody.
Right. So kind of my approach to that, and maybe you can help me out with this. So when we this particular event we started back in 2020 over 2020, and my idea was to help founders learn the best practices for building a startup. And to me, so this idea I used to show a chart where you have the founder, but you got this big old ecosystem out there. But in order for the founder to leverage those resources, they have to know how to communicate the way the ecosystem expects to be communicated to. But I don't know if I'm still having trouble communicating that to founders.
Well, it's that so many times when I've worked with founders, there's such a high level of need, right? Because when you're a founder, you are putting everything that you have on the line to go after your dream, right? Yeah. And it's really, really serious for you, the founder. And so you really have this need for everybody else around you to take it with that same level of seriousness and same level of care. But at the same time, from the support perspective, you might be supporting 20, 30, 50, 100 people simultaneously. And so being able to make the personal connections to each person along the way, it's like you need a support mechanism that allows you to do that. And so that's why we've focused on it the way we have.
Oh, good. And I'm definitely excited about that. I had a conversation with the founder a couple of weeks ago, and brilliant guy, but I was trying to communicate to him that you have to learn how to communicate to the people you want to help you, or you want to raise money from.
Yeah.
And so people that's want to help you, they want to know certain things, because there's like thousands of founders out there that what makes your pitch, or what makes you different than those other people? Why should we put our money here and earn, if your thing is only growing 2-3% a year or a month or whatever, then these other ones are growing 10x. Why should I put money in your thing when these other ones are growing 10x?
Well, I think the easiest way to think about it is, I'm assuming just about everybody is very familiar with TikTok, and how much time do you have before you swipe, right? Like, and so 9 times out of 10, when a founder is first starting out, they're so passionate about what they're doing that they really just want to tell you their whole life story and everything that led them to that point, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The investor's already swiped, right? So what is the hook that you're going to give to somebody right off the bat to say, like, this thing that I'm talking about demands your attention, and then to have enough respect for them to understand, like, we all live in an attention economy. You've got like maybe a minute to get across, like, okay, I got their attention. My problem is clearly understood. My solution definitely sounds unique. It stands out. There's proof that it works in some way and that people want it. And if you have somebody through that, then have the courage to make an ask, because they stuck around for it. Like, they're only there because they wanted to hear what you're asking about. And then I see so many founders that are, even if they get to that point, they're afraid to ask for something.
Yeah. So what I would like to do from an ecosystem standpoint is to kind of help the audience. And audience, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Because like Eric, you heard, he's been in this stuff for quite a while now, and has worked with a lot of founders. So I'm pretty sure it could help answer some questions. So one of the things I try to tell people is that the ecosystem is huge. It's like really huge, and you can leverage your local ecosystem, your regional ecosystem, the state ecosystems, the global ecosystems. But aren't you involved in a lot of organizations? Tell us about some of the ecosystem organizations that you're involved with.
Yeah. So in addition to my role at Bake Startups, I am on the board of directors for the Startup Champions Network, and I chair our policy committee. Okay. So with that, I work with organizations from around the country to help basically help drive better federal policy to make it easier for people to start businesses and to invest into those businesses. And one of the laws or I guess a bill that we got introduced into Congress is called the Startup Act, that makes it easier for entrepreneurs to access workforce development dollars in the process of trying to get their business started. But there's a whole host of other things that are going on. We work with organizations like the Center for American Entrepreneurship, Right to Start, the Institute for Justice, just to name a few. And each one of them are working kind of, some are at the local level, some are at the state level, and some are at the federal level. And so what we're really trying to do right now through that committee and through Startup Champions Network is to develop a map of all of the influential policymakers at the federal level who serve on the unique committees that might be able to move something around investment law or banking law or labor law, and then figure out which startup communities are in their districts so that it's easier for us to start taking meetings with them. But then aside from Startup Champions Network, I'm also a member of NBIA, the International Business Innovation Association. We just finished up their conference in Philadelphia. And so, anywhere that that people who support startups is where I try to be.
So, but that organization is all over the world, right?
They are, yeah. And we're, we're, in addition to them, we're members of Deep Ecosystems. And so they're an international accelerator program for ecosystem builders. And so through that, we get exposure into, everything from Europe to Africa to South America. And I don't think I've met anyone in Asia there yet. And then this June in Indianapolis, is the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. So we'll also be presenting at that event.
Yeah. So like, is that particular organization like the largest or has the most connected all over the world?
Wow. It's hard to say because they each serve a particular niche. It's like as soon as you get me going, I'm like, oh, I haven't even mentioned VentureWell yet. And they focus on university incubation. And frankly, like I think BIA is up there in size with some of the biggest ones. So, Global Entrepreneurship Congress, it pulls from a broader group because they have more entrepreneurs show up as opposed to just the ecosystem builders.
Right.
But really almost all of these in some way are offshoots of eShip that the Kauffman Foundation was doing for a number of years. And so, as Kauffman shifted its strategy to become more focused on, what's going on in the heartland specifically and, and really hyper specific in Kansas, then a lot of other activity has sprung up around the country to begin to fill that void.
But I think the takeaway, what I'm hearing, all these organizations, they're in somehow supporting founders or entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's just sort of like, on the other side of it, there's also the Angel Capital Association that's trying to get a lot of stuff done. There's a number of different organizations in the CDFI space. So was that Opportunity Finance Network's probably the biggest one in that group. And so they do a lot of how do you drive, micro loans into the startup community. But it's like I've been at this for 12, 13 years and I still find new resources on a regular basis. That's the thing to know is there is plenty of help out there. You just honestly, use Google and network.
Yeah. So my secret weapon, a secret sauce in life is leverage resources to get what you want done.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah. And so
you've shared several with me as well. So I always appreciate that.
Yes. And so, but it's the point of the matter is if somebody wants to do something, if they really want to do something, there are resources out there to help them do it. But what they have to take time to listen to understand that these people out there in these organizations that want to help them, they communicate in a certain language, with these business models, and if you can't describe your business model to them, that you like speaking French to them, they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I have a little bit of sympathy because sometimes figuring out that business model is the hardest part of the whole thing, and so even if you haven't worked out the right business model to gain traction within the marketplace, have you at least figured out who it is that you're serving with it? Because that's, to me, the biggest gap is that so many founders are more obsessed with their idea than the customer that they're trying to serve. And in that case, they're really just trying to shoehorn some sort of solution into place, and it might not fit. And if you keep talking to your customer, they will help you figure out your business model.
Yeah. And so when I worked for the government, most of the small companies, I was dealing with, they had the idea of what they wanted to do. But once I understand what product or service they had, I knew how I could use it for what I needed. But they were clueless on that based on what you're saying. But so one reason why we landed with the Lean Stack platform was because it focused on helping a founder design a scalable business model, and which is pretty powerful. But the idea about designing that model was that you could pitch that model, and but the way you pitch that model, it's actually what the information that the ecosystem organization or funder or a co-founder, it's the information they want to hear. So like if you're trying to get somebody to join your team and they don't see how you're going to make money, they're going to hesitate to join your team.
Right. Yeah. I think what I would just add to that, though, because I really, I came from the sort of Stanford D school model. Not that I was affiliated with them per se, but I did a lot of work in Silicon Valley, working with other organizations that were really rooted in their philosophy. And the most important thing, in my view, is that you go ahead and acknowledge from the get-go that you don't know the answer.
Yes.
And there's a high degree of likelihood that you're going to be wrong. And have you set up the feedback loops in how you're approaching the market so that you can adjust along the way? Like, are you actually getting intelligence as you go through it? And that's like I'm an architect, right? So if you go back to it, believe me, like even with Make Startups, I thought I could perfectly design this whole system and everything's just going to work and fall into place. And, we've been at it for years and we still sometimes struggle to make sure that we're getting traction in the right places. So it's that talking to a customer is your ultimate feedback loop.
Yes, and so that's exactly right. Yeah, I was talking to one of the founders that went through our program, and of course, when you go through the program, you may or may not get it. And so he had said, well, he worked with at a bank one time, and their number one thing was to try to get the people who from other banks to switch to their bank. and so I said, well, that's exactly when you got a new product or service, that's what you're doing. They're already using something, so now you got to get them to switch to what you got.
Yeah, but like going back though to what you're saying, because I don't want to invalidate that at all, because one of the things that we figured out is there's really a set of like maybe 8 questions or so that every founder needs to know the answer to at the end of the day, right? And around those questions, like I think that we both and everybody that's in our field, if you haven't addressed 1, 2, and 3, you haven't answered the question, right? And so that's where like we built our whole software platform around just creating a rubric for each one of those things, and letting an AI system evaluate, have you answered the question that an investor is looking for when they ask you this? And we don't judge whether it's a good answer or a bad answer. We just judge whether it's a complete answer so that you know whether you're answering a question or not.
Yeah, and so that's probably the most important thing people in the audience should hear. Because like when you fill out an application to go to do a pitch competition, or you fill out an application to join a accelerator program, a pre-accelerator program, in essence, those 8 things, whatever they are, you're answering questions, just filling out the application. And so how do you know you're actually answering the question correctly to move forward? And I think that's the message that I kind of want people to actually know is that when you fill out an application for something, they want to hear certain things. And so the question is, how do you learn what they want to hear?
Well, the other secret is they're telling you. Like the question is actually pretty explicit about what they want. One of the ones that I'll take as an example is that, so Venture Atlanta, they want to know what's your market opportunity, but they explicitly ask you to provide a description of the target market, estimate the size of the market, and tell them the growth rate of the market.
Okay.
And I can tell you, in reviewing over 600 applications from Venture Atlanta, maybe 10% of the people bothered to put in a market growth rate.
Okay.
Right. Like that's like right off the bat. And then, then you have a lot of people just wildly guessing at what a market size is. And then you still have a large number of people who their definition of the market is some variation of the word everyone. And so you've got to get specific about who that is, because like one day, hopefully your company is Apple and you're selling to everyone, but day one, you're selling to someone really specific that's going to fall in love with what you do.
Yeah, and what I try to tell people about that, you don't have enough money to market to everybody.
Yeah.
Number one thing when you starting out. And so
right.
That's kind of the biggest thing you should understand. So I think, Eric, that it's great having you on because you built we'll get into it a little bit, the co-founder OS to help out with grading how people answer these questions, I guess. I think, is that a correct statement?
Yeah. We basically, I'll try to take a long story and make it really short. We wanted to solve how do we do an industry credential, and we went to banks and investors around the country and said, are there specific things that we could measure? And if we did that, would you make it easier for someone to get access to capital? And so much around what they were asking us to do was to measure whether somebody had focused on the steps necessary to generate revenue. Like at the end of the day, they don't get paid unless you generate revenue. And we all spend so much of our energy trying to raise capital, much more so it seems like than we do trying to just sell to a customer.
Yes.
And so we built a software system that allows us to measure how well you've addressed bias in your own process, so that you are more likely to find a customer because you didn't just make an assumption that because this idea matters to you, that it matters to a market.
Yes. And that's really fantastic. And and so then the question, there's all these entrepreneurship organizations out there, support organizations, they're trying to help these people. And so how do you communicate to them, that they're being graded on their ability, how well they answer these questions, in order to get help?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever encountered this, but so many times when I would meet with a founder and I would tell them, here's what you didn't think about, they would just get mad at me.
Yes.
I was against them. I didn't believe in them. And so by building a software tool that every time they answer a question, it gives them a numerical score and it gives them feedback on what they need to do to have a complete answer. Then they look at you and me as their ally that's helping them beat a video game so that they can maximize their ability to get a customer.
Yes. Yeah. That's really, really fantastic, Eric. So let's just so you mentioned Venture Atlanta, and then we had shared that what was that last?
Yeah. So No Boundaries. The competition is actually next week, but the application deadline was a few weeks ago. So we announced our finalists this week. So we have we got applications ranging all the way from Texas to Maryland for that, and we've got founders from Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina that will be pitching on stage on Wednesday.
Yeah, so like, was that your organization make startups pitch competition, or were you doing that in partnership with somebody? What was?
Yeah, we did it in partnership with a number of organizations. So the
Okay,
South Carolina Research Authority, Aiken Chamber of Commerce, which is one of our local chambers of commerce, and one of the economic development authorities. But the big thing for us, which is this was the first pitch contest where the initial scoring was entirely done by our software system, and that
yeah,
was how we qualified people for interviews for the stage.
yeah. So with Venture Atlanta, you were just only screening them to for the pitch competition, or
Yeah, so for Venture Atlanta, it was a partnership that we had with them where we were reviewing the applications so that we could potentially surface some additional things that maybe their judges were missing, and
okay,
that was really how we built our evaluation model for this. So Venture Atlanta, they have a extensive investment committee that they work with. But we worked with them in last year's competition to try to build out a system that can help identify startups that they were missing through that process.
okay, gotcha. So I understand that. So, but this no boundaries thing, so am I right if I say that? The application that the person filled out, it was related to these 8 things. Um, ecosystem organizations want to know, or funders want to know.
Yeah. So we do two separate types of software
Okay,
within our platform. So one is an educational platform. It's basically it's a mentoring system to help you understand all these different things that we've been talking about. But we also have a due diligence model that
okay,
we work directly with investors and with banks to use as part of their pre-qualification process for
okay,
anyone that they would provide funding to. And so ultimately, as a company, what we're trying to get to is a space where we have enough funders on the platform that we can automatically start matching founders to one another as they go through the software. And we're probably still a little bit away from being able to do all of that, but
okay.
that's the end goal where we're taking it.
Gotcha. So you leveraged co-founder S to screen and select. So did you all double check the scoring? What human effects you all had involved in the actually selecting
Yeah,
the
so for no boundaries, we did review everything with humans to make sure that we were in agreement with it. But what we did is we basically took the top third of
okay,
applications that co-founder had scored, and every single one of them we gave an interview to regardless. Like
okay,
if
top
you were in the
third,
top third, you got an interview. And so that basically meant that anybody who was for that competition probably around a 75 or above for their overall score. And so the score takes into account everything from your customer identification, sort of your market opportunity identification, the problem solution fit, what's your business model and how scalable, and what's the sort of IP look like around that. And then it gets into the alignment of your background and your experience as a founder to the startup that you're trying to create. And so we evaluate both ends of that and pull it together into one score.
gotcha. Yeah, and so that sounds good. So are you going to leverage co-founder OS in any other way with this pitch competition? Or are you going to?
Yeah. So we this fall we're launching a research study with Harvard and Stanford using co-founder OS to identify common markers within entrepreneurs that are essentially predictive of their investability. So what we're trying to do is take co-founder OS into this place where, based on sort of your, for lack of better terms, your academic or achievement or your validation within the software, that you are applying the appropriate steps towards building your startup, that we can automate funding for you. And so that's our end vision for where we're trying to take it, because we just see like I'll tell you, like the stat that haunts me every night, right, is we talk all the time about how only half of 1% of startups get venture capital funding. But until you start putting numbers around what that is, it's hard to really wrap your head around. And so there's 5 million companies that start a business in America every year. So that means 25,000 get funding. Only 25,000 companies in America get venture capital. 53% of that is in California. So the 4.9, basically, roughly speaking, 4.9 million companies that are outside of California are competing for 12,000 venture capital investments a year, right? So the capital market's broken, and that's why we sort of have to double down on training people on how they generate revenue for their company.
Yeah.
And if we can do that and prove that, then we can open up capital markets in a completely different way. Because the big gap here is that ever since we moved to a knowledge economy, banks got out of the system of investing into startups because there's no tangible real estate asset around a knowledge-based business. So there's no collateral for that loan. So we have to, as an industry, develop entirely new ways of modeling risk and opportunity for them.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. And so, and part of what my question was about no boundaries. So you having a pitch competition.
Sorry, I went off a deep end there.
Oh, no. Well, but what I was trying to figure out is like they're going to pitch, but are you leveraging Co-Founder OS in any way in the judging the pitch competition?
For the pitch competition itself, like day of, no, we're actually having the audience vote on the winner for the competition. So we've got, and we'll be weighting it because we have our investors that put in money.
Okay.
And the audience vote, but we're going to weight them and average those votes together to see who wins. But for us, Co-Founder OS exists to help ecosystems build trust. And so this event, No Boundaries, is helping the local Aiken, Augusta startup ecosystem build trust, because in an average year, there's only 2 to 5 funded deals in the community. And so if we can move the needle to 10 in the next year, then we've made a massive change in the landscape of that region. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm beginning to see the importance of the Co-Founder OS system, because I think it gives the founder peace of mind too, to know that they learned something, because they can see if their score improving as they leverage the system.
Yeah, well, if you're up for it, I can basically let everybody who's watching this fill out one of those forms, and don't have to do it right now. Certainly stay on board for the conversation, but I can leave that up for I think I've got everything right there. So yeah, we'll leave that competition up for a couple of days. And so if anyone submits their answers there, then they'll basically get an email back from Co-Founder OS that gives them a link so they can review their answers and the AI feedback.
Oh, fantastic! That's really fantastic. So that's like an application link to fill out an application.
Yeah, and so that one, it'll run through the due diligence process. So they have to identify their market opportunity, the problem solution, everything down to their experience. And it's better if they take a little bit of time to think about it. Hopefully they've got most of those answers. But this will tell you how well you're addressing those questions when you answer them for people.
Okay. Whoa, that's some really good feedback. So folks in the audience, definitely. And so Webster and Adrian are going to come on to kind of pump up our event in a little bit. But so like, I think that's a really, really neat opportunity for people to get some actual feedback, Eric. I appreciate you offering that out there. Yeah.
I mean, we have to help each other, right?
Yeah. It becomes because it's really frustrating to me that a person doesn't get what we're saying is if so. Just think, in order to get help, you got to fill out an application, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so they're looking at just screening your application. And so
And pretty soon they're not going to be screening it. A computer is going to be screening it.
yeah. And so so you got all these people applying for grants, you got all these people applying for loans, you got people applying to get in programs. And so to me, that's what you want to do. You want to learn how to answer these questions correctly, and so you have to start participating in this stuff to kind of move forward, because that's what's that's what's important. You can't leverage resources if you can't communicate how what value you bring to the table.
Yeah, and I just, after being in this so many years, even from my standpoint, I'm happy. I'm grateful to have a software tool that
Yes.
pretty well encapsulates what I'm trying to get across in a very objective manner to people, so that one, we can take the sort of like emotional part out of it, because entrepreneurship is such an emotional process for people to begin with, and really just demystify it for everybody. Like I think you and I are both in the situation where we feel like we're shouting from the rooftops, like, this is what you need to do. But yeah, having a third party do it always helps.
Yeah. So I've seen some brilliant founders out there, and they won't take the time to learn how to get help to do what they're doing, and so it's hard, but I think if you just go through the process of learning, it saves you so much time.
Yeah, well, I think it's that as a founder, they're all just, I mean, because I go through this myself from time to time with everything that we do. You, especially as the founder, are juggling so many priorities that it's really difficult to see through the forest of them and say, like, this is where I need to focus my time. And I think the one thing that I would try to help everybody see is that at the end of the day, as the founder, especially if you're the CEO founder, like, your job is to make sure that the lights are still on. And so whatever it takes to make sure that you can make payroll so that you have a team is kind of like where you've got to focus. And that might mean digging into these applications and figuring out how to answer them better, or it might mean, spending a lot of time talking to your customers this week.
Yeah. So like, so the approach that we've been using with the founders is, with the lean stack, is that you get your business model first, and the only pitching you're doing that is your why now elevator pitch, and then the business model story pitches, you pitching your business model. But then when you switch from trying to pitching that business model to get help, then you focus on doing problem discovery, and so you interview to do problem discovery, as opposed to, we don't call them customer interviews, we call them problem discovery interviews. And so this is what the secret is, Eric. And it's just like when I was talking to the founder this week, and when he said he used to work for a bank, we trying to sell our products we got for this bank, but these people are using these other banks. So our number one thing is to try to figure out how to get them to switch from the accounts at this bank to switch the account at our bank. So when you think about whatever you're selling or whatever you're creating, your solution you're creating, uh, the people out there you want to sell to are already using something else or nothing.
Yeah.
Your job is to get them to switch from what they're using to what you have.
Yeah.
But you don't understand what all the emotional stuff that goes into getting the person to switch. How are you going to sell them?
Yeah. I mean, nobody takes indirect competition into account in the way that they should, because it is so much easier to just sit on the sofa and do nothing than it is to buy another thing.
Yeah. And so what in Ash's Lean Stack program, he has this customer forces story thing and jobs to be done story thing. So he has a list of questions you have to ask to discover these problems, but you have to tailor them to whatever product or service you have. So like if in the case with the bank thing is, so what you do is you interview people that have recently switched from one bank to another one. So the reason why you want to do that is because you're trying to figure out what triggered them to actually switch.
Yeah.
And then when they started looking for a new bank, what did they consider, and then why did they chose the one they chose?
Right. Yeah. I always, and I think the thing too, because we talk a lot about pain points in this, but
Yeah.
I think it's, one of the more challenging things to realize is that there's a difference between like a pain that might be a big pain versus an urgent pain that you have to address. And so until you find the urgent pain, getting customers is always going to be a slog. So you might be able to win them because it's a big pain, but there's no sense of urgency that they have to get away from what they're doing right now. And so you have to literally talk every customer into it. Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to learn the psychology of what it takes to get somebody to switch. And I guess it's learning how to sell.
It is. Yeah. Well, you shouldn't get into entrepreneurship if you're not willing to sell.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I will tell you, like, I'm not a natural salesman by any stretch, but I care so much about what I'm doing that I have to sell.
Yeah. So like, when marketing Co-Founder.s, do you try to market it just to ecosystem organizations, or do you try to market it to founders directly?
Yeah, so we actually just started making it available to founders directly. Historically, we've been only going through support organizations, and we're actually launching a new program now where we're partnering with support organizations and actually letting them generate revenue using Co-Founder based on the founders that sign up in their community.
Okay. Yep.
So everyone will actually notice that after they fill out the form, there's a redirect link that pre-populates a referral code into a sign-up page with Kakua Institute's name on it. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I better spread that one all the way around.
For sure. I mean, at the end of the, because this is the, is what I was trying to explain to people in Philadelphia when we were giving our talk, is that entrepreneur support is really a horrible business model unless you're investing money into the businesses. Everybody that does this is doing it because of the passion that you have and the how much you are called, like really called to make sure that these founders can succeed because you believe they're going to make your community and the world a better place. Yes. And so anyone who's in that position needs resources, needs support because you're making a difference in the world. So that's why we switched up our business model for that.
Yes. So what are you offering founders? And then I'm going to let you go, Eric, because I want to promote this weekend coming up. So what are you offering founders to get involved with Co-Founder.s?
Yeah. So, if after they complete their application on this, it'll redirect them to a sign up page where they get 14 days of free access into the software. And I'd say my big pitch to everybody is I've been able to document that 70% of people who go all the way through this program get 70% of them show revenue growth within 90 days. And so I think we're meeting our target because we're seeing people generate revenues as a byproduct.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So the folks out there, get that link there and so you can check out Co-Founder OS and get some, I think the main thing that they're going to get back some feedback on how to answer the questions right. Yeah.
So every time you answer a question, we build your own data model about your company so that it can be used to automate generation of your business plan, do competitive market analysis for you. You can do your financial projections, and you can compare your projections versus your actual performance as a company and make a lot of intelligent decisions along the way. So, yeah.
Okay. So you all hear that out there, folks. All right. So what's your parting thoughts for the audience? What should take, what you want to leave with them?
Honestly, always make sure you have a feedback loop and that you're always adaptable, because you're not going to change the world unless you're wrong a few times along the way.
Yes. Gotcha. All righty. So I think I should have had you on 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, because I think you provided some clarity for me, at least, on the significance of you can't just be out there willy-wally trying to get help. People want to know certain things to, so they can help you, and you have to be able to communicate those things.
Well, I've enjoyed getting to know you through the fellowship program and everything else, and I appreciate you taking the trip up to Augusta that time. So anything I can do to support.
I'll be Robin. I'll be back up there, so don't worry.
well, it's beautiful down your way, so I'll be there at some point too.
Yeah. So I want the folks to know your co-working space. You call it the Clubhouse, right?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful space. I loved it. So it's pretty neat. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you. We'll keep in touch, and hopefully we can get some folks to sign up. I'll definitely push that to get so they can actually try it.
Will do. All right. Well, thanks for having me today. All
right. Okay. Webster, if you turn your camera on, we'll get you going there. And Eric, so your video is being uploaded from your computer. So when you get ready to leave, just make sure you can, if it's not finished uploading, just leave the computer on just for a second.
Yeah. Oh, can I share one more thing real quick?
Go right ahead.
Because we just had our this documentary film made about our work, and so I would love for everybody to give it a look if they have some time. So it's at makestartups.org/pledge.
Okay.
And if you have 8 minutes, I think it's worth your while.
Oh, fantastic. And so, Webster, why don't you introduce yourself to Eric? And I'll probably go ahead.
Hi, Eric. I'm Webster Lincoln. I'm a startup founder myself, based out of the Bay Area. So I know you mentioned like there's some differences in funding versus where you're located. So, yeah, I was paying attention. So I was
indeed. I miss that Bay Area economy, but we have to make sure that everybody else succeeds too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, fantastic. All right, thank you, Eric. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, look who's in town. Huh?
Yeah.
How was the flight today?
It was good. I had to get up early, but there was a lot of people at the airport, maybe because it's Easter weekend or something.
Yeah.
But it was all good. Very comfortable. I just slept most of the flight, so
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So how was Five Sisters?
It was amazing. You don't get that kind of soul food in the well, you do, but they say it's better when you come back to, like, where the origin, where it comes from. That's where the food is the best. So,
Yeah.
but it was good.
Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm actually in the building just right across the street, the three-story building across the street. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's great. So, so you're excited about tomorrow and Saturday?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm excited to meet some of my fellow founders and the people in the startup space, especially a lot of Black founders, because out in the Bay Area you don't see a whole lot of that. But I'm excited to be able to learn from other people and to share my experiences as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, and yeah, and so what I like about you and what you're trying to do. So, like your startup, you tell folks a little bit about it.
Yeah, so essentially we're a healthcare technology startup. Using AI to help with that, with the workflow in the pathology labs, and in pathology, specifically with digital pathology. Um, yeah, so that's kind of, we're trying to provide global access to kind of world-class expertise. So using a cloud-based platform, you can give you can be evaluated anywhere around the world by anybody that you kind of allow. So
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so so you're gonna be and after the keynote on Saturday, you're gonna be we're featuring some AI startups, and everybody out there, you definitely go register. You can view it online. If you're in the Pensacola area, come up here and do it. But we just want to put some founders out there in front of folks, so we we know other people can do it too, and kind of leverage some of the resources out there, and to kind of move forward.
yeah.
So yeah, so like you on that yeah, so you're going to be, I guess, on the panel with John and yeah, some of these same folks here, and they lot of different things going on there. So Bisa, she's really excited. Her business is out of Florida, but she grew up in Eufaula, so she's coming. Her and her mother's coming from up there, and so she's going to bring her Microtron headsets, and people are going to get a chance to play with them and stuff. And she built her own language models, and so, like I said, she's the modern day Hidden Figures. And yeah, so Ray, he's A1C plan. He's trying to help people with diabetes, but help people with, just with health in general. And he's going to be demonstrating in the second after that this panel y'all gonna be on together. He's going to be showing people how to use the AI tools to build stuff. And so that's going to be really neat. Matter of fact, he said he's literally using the AI tools to build stuff for other people to fund getting the startup off the ground.
Yeah, nowadays it's getting really cheap. The cost of like developing is going down because of these tools, and so that's going to enable things for a lot more people, and people do things, at least to get prototypes and like MVPs, very fast,
Yeah.
and very and inexpensive as well. So I'm definitely interested in hearing kind of the tools that he's using and leveraging.
Okay. Yeah. It'll be fun. And John, he's here local, and so he took a totally different approach, and he leveraged the local university to help get his first prototype of his IntelliDoor, and then he needed somebody to actually manufacture it, and so he started doing some searching. He found a company in Louisiana that actually is designing, manufacturing, doing the software, and all of that, and at half the normal price.
Oh wow, that's a
Yeah,
that's a cheat code.
yeah. And so what's the deal is, and I keep telling people there's resources all over, and so that's what you have to kind of leverage, is these resources to so you don't have to pay full price or anything at all. And so Josiah, yeah, it's kind of hard to describe Josiah. Just imagine a brainiac that studied encryption as a child. He needs some book to read, and over in Africa, and so he learned so much about encryption. He patented a keyless encryption system.
Mm.
He understood it that well, and so he's got about 13 patents. And one of the projects he's working on, he's going to be talking about is using his large or small language models to actually recapture a lot of the African dialects, so those languages are not lost. And so that's a pretty amazing thing. And Dr. Wanda, yes, so I don't know much about her Vibes software, but she leverages AI to do it. And so she's her company is called Deep Design, but she created this application to we'll have to be surprised what she's actually doing. But it's going to be a great event. These are a couple of slides. We got a couple more people that's going to be participating, but it's going to really be great. And so Sydney, he's going to do the keynote. He's the president and CEO of the only Black bank in the area. And so that's going to be good hearing all that wisdom that he has. And Savola, she's Miss Motivate. She's Coach Savola. She travels all over the world, cruise ships and everywhere, helping people dump the junk and all kinds of stuff. So she's going to really set the house on fire. And so did you get a chance to talk to Adrian yet over in the hotel?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not. He may not have seen the email with the link in it. Yeah, so he's up already as well, and so Rose, she had a family matter that came up, and so she's not going to be able to come. So Ebony's going to take her place, and so I haven't put a picture up here yet. Sharice, she's got some things going on, but we got a patent attorney coming in. And also a local CDFI guy coming in to help be on the funding panel. So Mike, you definitely want to hear from Mike. He's Mr. IBM, Mr. AI, Mr. Cybersecurity. He's got every kind of cybersecurity certification you can think of. He's like vice president of the InfoGuard here in the state. So yeah, he's the man. And B Carr, so you're gonna be on a panel in the afternoon, the industry panel. So B's gonna be leading that, and so she's in the AI and cyber, and she has a television show and everything. So you can look forward to having her here as well. So so I'm encouraging folks to sign up. I'll in the email I sent out today, yesterday or this morning, whatever I sent out, I don't even remember. I lost track of time. There's a link in there for tap in, and if you did you get the email today?
Yeah, I got it. I was on the airplane.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So but anyway, there's a couple of links in there. One is for tap in, and one is for Kicksasa. So tap in, when you tap into the event, you get to connect with all of the people who are attending the event that tapped in there, and so you can connect with them even after the event. And then Kicksasa, same kind of thing, but so the Kicksasa thing, it's actually a platform that allows you to network with founders all over the world. And so it's got we got the event set up in there as well. And so it also comes with a lot of tools that the founders can actually use as well. So those are just some ways to help people kind of get connected. All righty. So anything you want to say or tell the folks that haven't signed up yet, or to come on out tomorrow evening or Saturday? Anything you
Yeah,
want to share?
if you have a company or you're thinking about starting a company, you should come out and learn, because you can definitely learn how to navigate the space better if from other people's experiences. And I think it was definitely beneficial to just show up. If you're thinking about starting a company, or if you have a company. So there's a lot to learn, from
Yeah,
networking.
well, for sure. So then, speaking of networking, so I was networking and I met Ron, and I guess through Ron I met you. So
Yeah.
yeah. So just I want to give a shout out to Ron Moore. He is the guy that encouraged me for us to do this summit thing, this conference, and so yeah. So he'll be in tomorrow as well. He'll be right at the hotel where you're at, and so. Yeah, so that will be great. I'm not sure what time he's actually getting in, but yeah. So we're looking forward to a great weekend, everybody. We're doing the summit and tour for all of everybody out there. So take advantage of it. And so the caterer is going to be cooking breakfast and lunch. So
Um,
yeah, so you get some more home cooked food, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the Five Sisters. Yeah. So,
All righty. All
all
right.
right.
We appreciate you coming on. Everybody will hopefully we'll see most of y'all this weekend online or in person. So and then next week we look forward to seeing everybody on another Startup Founders Best Practice. We'll see you all next week. You can hold on it for a minute if you want to, Webster.
Here's a detailed breakdown of our Black Founders Program achievements and components. Program Reach and Impact, Global Reach, supporting over 500 founders worldwide, focusing on Black founders who often encounter systemic barriers in the startup ecosystem. Training and cohorts, delivered structured, hands-on training over the past 2 years. 9 30-day business model design cohorts, guided founders through designing scalable business models using the Lean Stack platform. 3 90-day launch programs, supported startups in validating demand, launching solutions, and refining their offerings. Our first Black Founders Innovation Summit attracted 92 in-person attendees and 182 registrants. Included networking events, speaker presentations, and panel discussions to provide diverse perspectives and practical insights. Training platforms used. Lean Stack, focused on scalable business model design and launch, with practical tools for customer discovery and validation. Startup Science provides education tailored to each phase of the startup lifecycle. Co-Founder OS measures entrepreneurial skills, offers certifications, and provides frameworks for building confidence in navigation the startup ecosystem. Patent Hacks trains founders on intellectual property, including patents and trademarks, to protect and leverage their innovations. Key goals and focus areas. Knowledge and resource bridging helps founders acquire critical startup knowledge, connections, and opportunities to secure funding and resources. Scalable Solutions emphasizes building sustainable, scalable business models to ensure long-term success. Diversity and Inclusion supports Black founders by providing a space where their unique challenges and perspectives are addressed. Event highlights over 200 consecutive weekly Startup Founder Best Practices events since October 2020. These provide ongoing support, practical insights, and networking opportunities for founders. 10 demo days, which serve as accountability milestones where founders pitch present progress, e.g. the 3P progress report, persevere, pivot, or pause. Focus on wealth creation in emerging industries, encouraging Black founders to participate in opportunities like AI and other tech innovations. The Black Founders Program reflects our strong commitment to equipping Black entrepreneurs with the tools, knowledge, and ecosystem connections they need to succeed.